What's happening, guys? It's Jamie. Today I'm going to be talking about a principle that I've lived by, and I've had to train myself into it for the last couple of years, but it has been instrumental in the growth of my business. It's been instrumental in the development of self, and more specifically my level of confidence when it comes to abundance, attracting money, getting stuff done, just backing myself, generally speaking. And there's a bit of a cliche in all this, and I'm going to reveal that cliche a little bit later on. Now, I wanted to preface all this by saying that a long time ago, I used to do things really differently, right? And so going back to school days, I was a really, really bad student. I didn't really try. I had basically assumed that I was very dumb from a really young age. In fact, I mentioned this recently in one of my other videos. And I later learned how my brain absorbs knowledge. And what it basically happened was, once I understood how to unlock the cipher, so to speak, my brain started going, oh, this is actually kind of fun. This is pretty damn cool. And of course, because I had developed this belief about my intellect for so long, the manifestation of that in my adult life then turned to basically things where I needed an external validation from others for me to create a confirmation that I am actually smart, which is kind of dumb when I think about it. And so what that would mean, and I started to see this in other folks as well, is that I'd always find that if someone asked me a question or there was a question raised, I'm like, oh, I know that bit of information. And it was a point of pride because I realized, wow, lucky me, I happen to have this piece of information in my noggin and it's been stored there for such an occasion that someone needs to know the, I don't know, the circumference diameter of freaking, I don't know, whatever, right? Making stuff up clearly. And so that meant that without being a know-it-all, I was just thrilled to be able to help folks out. And I swear I'm going somewhere with this, so I appreciate you sticking with me, right? And so then school, I didn't finish school, workforce, different careers, blah, blah. And many years later, I found myself working in finance. And some of my friends, we have this, a little bit of a joke. I can't add what's beyond my phalanges. I don't know what is beyond that. Like I'm the worst person at mathematics. So that's not me being self-deprecating. That is me just taking stock of what my skill set is. And as a strange irony, I ended up working in finance where we're dealing with, it was a product called a contract for difference, basically. So it's a derivative product, meaning it derives its price from an underlying asset, basically. And so it was heavily traded on margin, things like that. A lot of fun, foreign exchange, futures, options, all that type of stuff, lots of fun. So we're dealing with these big, huge numbers and margin calls and, all that type of stuff, which strangely enough, I found was actually easier than the simple mathematics. Like 2 plus 2, carry the 1 divided by 87, 900, is it? I don't know, anyone? But yeah, the biggest stuff was easier for some reason. Anyways, the whole point of the story is when I left that environment, and years later when I worked in other industries like event management, good food and wine type stuff, and then eventually I left all that and I started getting into advertising, and I set up my own agency and things like that. And that was really interesting because I started to get a sense of this lesson here, just a little bit. And so from 2011 through to 2019, I tried and failed at most things I tried online, right? So affiliate marketing, I failed that terribly for a long time. CPA marketing, Kindle publishing, gave that a shot. What else? I got into FBA. I was about to pull the trigger on getting some stock, but decided not to, ran out of cash. Had e-commerce stores. I was arbitraging between eBay and Amazon. Did actually make a little bit of cash doing that, but it kind of blew up after a while. So on and so forth. Anyway, and so a lot of the time, the reason for the failure is because I would just go full steam ahead into an idea. and I wouldn't really plan it. And so when I'm about to tell you what this little ninja secret thing is, it's probably somewhat of an oxymoron of sorts, because it's a contradiction in terms. But anyway, onto my story. So when I was going through that process, and I'd go gung-ho into something, yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to be a billionaire. I'm going to be a billionaire NBA player. That was one of my goals when I was younger. It didn't happen to the best of my knowledge. Don't know why. Anyways, and so then when things finally clicked into place for me, late 2019, it took me literally 7 days from me like floundering around, not really knowing what I was doing, to like, bang, I get it. And I just, 7 days later, made my first $1,000 day, backed it up next day, so on and so forth, right? Now, here's the thing. I had to unlearn an entire lifetime of a specific lesson that was taught, right? I had to unlearn this entire thing. Now, I've left you hanging long enough, so I appreciate anyone that is tuning in at this point. I really appreciate it. The lesson is this: done is better than perfect. In fact, it's actually a two-banger today. So done is better than perfect, number one. I'm going to elaborate on that and why it's a big oxymoron, all that type of stuff. And the other one is money loves speed. Money loves speed. Okay, so let's dive into those a little bit. Now, first one being that, I do believe that you should take pride in what you're doing, right? I'm not saying like just throw things out there without any professionalism at all. If you are an agency, for example, you're looking to produce content for other people, or you're running your ads, things like that, make sure that the I's are crossed and T's are dotted. But at the same time, because we are brought up in this way, where everything needs to be in a stately manner and good and professional and clean and all that type of stuff, it often means that we delay the start of what we need to be doing. And so that happened for me. And so when I discovered this stuff, things like took off in a massive way, because I became unafraid of the outcome on the other side. I wasn't really worried whether or not I would fail, because I reframed that belief system in my own mind. And I realized that failing was me not doing anything, and success was me trying, basically. And once I understood that, that's when things like bang started to finally fall into place, and I started to get momentum in my business, and then I started to become more confident within myself. And then that meant that I was raising my own vibration to then attract more of the good stuff anyway. Now, back to my point. Done is better than perfect. Okay, so what I mean by that is, like, we can spend absolutely months, all of us, I've done it as well, building things out and re-recording things and checking certain things that are activated and triple checking things, and then making sure things over here are okay. And then we decide, we sleep on it, and then we come back and we're like, actually, no, this doesn't work for me. And so then we go and do the whole thing again. And then we're still delaying our starting point, right? And so the trick with that is to just get it done. Give yourself a deadline, just get it done, put it out there. And when you become comfortable with the fact, and it is the fact, that you're not going to die from putting a piece of content out there, I hope, but it's improbable. You can't, you're not going to have freaking Jason Voorhees hammering down your door when you're talking into this inanimate object that you've placed on a tripod right in front of you, right? And when you accept that and you are okay with that, then you're like, well, what's the fear? Why am I really afraid? And it allows you to see what the true nature of that is within yourself. So then once I started adopting this, and I had to reprogram my mind and my belief system, because like I say, going back to the start of the story, I was always someone who was like eager to please, like eager. Oh, you've got a question? Holy shit, I've got your answers. My God, look at me. And all that was happening is my ego was getting validated. Hey, I am smart after all. I am smart after all. This is great, blah, blah. And then when I realized that doesn't matter anyway, things changed, right? Done is better than perfect. And so I was like, I had to relearn this element of myself. So that was the first thing. The other one is money loves speed. And again, same deal as before. if you have an idea and you think about it and then you get, you know, I don't know, like you take it to the board meeting and you get folks to analyze it, and then you take it over to this economist and they do their own research on it, and then you go to a brand strategist and then they do, like, the execution of that idea is delayed and delayed and delayed, delayed and delayed. Now, of course, I'm not dealing with board members. I'm not dealing with any of that stuff at all. I'm a solopreneur. But I also see it play out, having dealt with hundreds of students at this point, where I can physically see that they are delaying things. I can physically see that they are sitting on a gold mine of ideas, but they're just not executing. And they're like, yeah, I'm going to execute. And they do the things that make them feel good, which is like, cool, I did a really nice, got this beautiful, colorful thing here. And then they go put that out there, but like, well, they don't sometimes. They've ticked the box of developing the thing, whatever it is, the lead magnet, the et cetera, and it looks all nice, and they've like mentally felt like they've done a bunch of stuff that day, so they feel good, they've ticked something off their to-do list, but it's not driving the business forward, right? And so here's a little thing for you guys. I put out a really insane offer the other day, and here's how it went. I've been thinking about this thing for a long time, and it's basically the capacity to remove some of the hurdles for people to get involved in high-ticket stuff, basically. I'll leave it at that. And so I had been contemplating that for a little while, and then after a while I just thought, I had this idea, I'm like, let's just, instead of me making that decision, something that I mentioned here and in my own coaching and the Ultimate Marketing Mastermind in particular, is like, let your audience dictate what they want, right? Like, let them dictate the need. Because if you're just sitting there going, you know what, I really like solid gold. I was going to say Chamelets. I feel like that's an actor's name, not a, what do you call it? An urn. I'm going to Google it. I know there's a word up here somewhere that I'm looking for. Not Chamelet, what do they call it? Ancient name for gold cup. Chalice. Got it before I even thought of Royal Gold Cup. Yes. What is a gold cup called? Interesting. The gold cup mythology. Nestor's cup is a legendary gold mixing cup, which was owned by hero Nestor. Anyway, the word I was looking for was a chalice. Yes, anyway, chalice. So, what was I even talking about a fucking chalice? Like, oh, God, crikey. Maybe I should edit these, actually, come to think of it. Nah, fuck it. Yeah, chalice. So, I've literally lost my train of thought. I started Googling what I meant, and I was thinking Chalamet, that's Timothy Chalamet, he's an actor. Yeah, so you got your golden chalice sitting there, and you like put all your energy into that. And then you think, well, I want to sell this thing now. Got it, I'm back on track. Phew. You've got your thing that you want, and you're like, well, I'm going to sell chalices now. That's my gig. I'm going to go and sell these blooming things to my beautiful audience. And your audience is like, we're only into pewter. We're not into gold, okay? But you don't know that because you haven't let your audience dictate what they want. You've just gone, here you go. Here's a chalice for you. And so it's kind of a roundabout way of saying, I decided to let my audience dictate whether or not this idea that I had for this thing was going to work or not. And so I went, yes, that is a great idea, Jamie. Let's just throw it out there and see what happens. And I, took maybe 7 minutes, maybe a little bit less, to write out this, call it an 8-line post. And I threw it out to my Facebook profile. I didn't even bother about it in my group. I just put it in my profile, thought, yeah, you know what? See what happens. I don't know where that accent came from either. I apologize if I offend anyone, but I also sent an email, and I got people on my email list to respond if they're interested in information. So sent that out, and all of a sudden I obviously ticked something off because it just went kind of crazy, and that has since turned into $6,000 with another $3,000 deals still out there. And so with the conversion rates being what they are, that'll be about $24,000, right? And that came from an idea and then the execution of that idea. And I contracted down that time rather than thinking, oh, I need to have everything absolutely figured out. I was just like, okay, well, there's a lot of people that have now responded. Okay, well, I suppose I better structure this actual offer. So then I put it on a Google Doc, I linked off to the main offers, and then I just put bullet points. I just did a Loom video talking over the top of it, what my expectations were, what I'm not going to tolerate, what I will tolerate, what I'm actually looking for people, yada, yada, yada. And then, you know, it's started to close deals, which is freaking insanely good. And so the whole point about this is that, you know, yes, you do need to have some thought into some of these things and an overarching strategy. And this is where the oxymoron is, because you effectively have to shortcut that circuitry to enact upon that idea quicker, because that is where the cash flow is going to come from. And here's the thing, if my audience said nothing, there was no engagement, not a single person inquired about this thing, I've lost nothing. I've lost 7 minutes of my time, I apologize, lost 7 minutes of my time writing this post. And then I can go, okay, so I've got some data now from my audience. Does the data suggest that it was a bad timing? Can I tweak the way that I have structured the sentences to basically get in front of the right people? Can I tweak the actual offer itself? Is that the problem? But you've got data, right? And it is more of a failure for you to not enact upon your ideas than it is for you to hit a wall after you've started the process of putting your idea into place, right? And it's super powerful that you don't fuck yourself up by going, that's a great idea. I wonder if I can, you know what? Yeah, okay, let's see what that. And then all of a sudden, months have gone by, and you think, yeah, I should come back to that idea. I think it's a really good one. And then you've done nothing, right? And so the trick with this game, with the online marketing game and brand building, stuff like that, you know, is just to keep doing it and to keep going and to not look at these things like a binary pass or fail. You're just collecting data. And then remove your emotional state from that. Like if I get really emotional about it, I'm like, oh man, no one liked my post, and I'm such a bad marketer. Oh, why? I fluked everything this whole time. Oh, damn it. It's not going to help anyone. Not going to help anyone, right? So go put these things out. Done is better than perfect, and money loves speed. And so when you execute upon your ideas, you'll get some great data, and that becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, because what happens is you become more confident when after a while you're like hitting the wall, like this isn't working, what's not working, then bang, you smash through the wall. You're like, ha 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 ha, this is cool. And then you understand the game. You understand, okay, well, it's just testing. It's just exactly that, allowing the audience to dictate what I'm going to put out there in front of them. And that's how you grow a business. Anyway guys, that's enough from me today. Really appreciate you guys tuning in. Hopefully you're liking this style of recording. I personally hate recording YouTube videos, and I hate editing. And so for me to get my message across is a lot more comfortable for me. So hence why I'm doing more of these styles. So anyway, love to hear your thoughts below. Hit the comments, let me know anything you want me to cover in future. Otherwise you guys have a good one. See you in the next one.